introducing you Inkarri. As you know, the parent company is Proviva behind Inkarri. Inkarri is our organic and biodynamic project. Proviva has been founded in 2002 with the clear idea of producing authentic wine. Being authentic wines, wine with no or minimal intervention through organic and biodynamic viticulture, which is the base for us. It's crucial for us to stress this point. Organic and biodynamic is not something we just do because the market now is asking for that. It's something we really believe in. It's a matter of quality. It's a matter of taking care of the environment. It's a matter of do the right thing. And it's something that in Argentina is still quite rare. We only have about 3% of the production, wine production in Argentina, which is organic certified, and biodynamic is less than 1%. We want to be, as you can read on the page, a kind of anti-conventional winery from Argentina, offering something different, trying to differentiate ourselves from the big mass of Malbec that is flowing to the US market. Organic and biodynamic, of course, is an important part of it. But also in terms of style, we are trying to offer something different. I mean, we do think the times for heavy, super concentrated, bold Malbec is over, or is going to get to the end. We really believe in a fresher, lighter style, full of complexity, full of flavors, but in a more approachable style. And I mean, the ones of you that already taste the wine, I think you understand what I'm talking about. So this is who we are in a general perspective. Then there is something really interesting going on in Argentina at the moment. Well, in the past, let's say 5 to 10 years, Argentinian wineries are finally discovered their terroirs, their different place of origins for the wines, for the grapes. Different appellations are being defined now. And Inkarri, Proviva, and Inkarri, they have been on the forefront of it, investigating and studying appellation and terroirs way before the other wines, the most of our wines that came on board. Inkarri Inkarri represents 2 different regions of Mendoza: the classic area of Mendoza and Yucco Valley. More specifically, all the Inkarri estate range comes from our vineyard in Agrelo, Luján de Cuyo, pretty close to the city of Mendoza, very close to the Andes, to the mountains. This is a picture of where the winery of the vineyard, where the winery is located. On the other side of the mountain, of course, we have Chile. But on this side, we have a lot of grape growing everywhere. This vineyard is where everything started, with our project started. It's organic and biodynamic certified. All the experiments we do them first in this vineyard. Now we are bringing animals to have a more biodiverse environment. We created an orchard for the workers of the winery to cultivate their own vegetables and fruit. There is everything goes on. It's Agrelo, as I said, is the traditional area of Mendoza. In terms of soil, it's a sandy, loamy profile, quite deep, fertile. That tends to give quite fruity, juicy wines, quite a round style. Classic, let's say classic Mendoza, we try to reinterpret it in a fresh way. Then we have an organic certified vineyard in Altamira. Altamira is at the very bottom of Mendoza province, high elevation, 3,500 feet, quite isolated, little water coming, a lot of virgin soils around, and a beautiful, beautiful terroir. As you can see from the picture, a lot of rocks and stones and a strong, excellent, beautiful calcareous soil profile. That's the terroir where the winemaker reserve Malbec comes from. And it's a terroir that offers much more, generally offer much more complexity, more elegance, more minerality to the wine. It's always interesting to me to show when I go visiting customers, showing together the two Malbecs, starting with the estate, Inkarri estate, with all this fruit and juiciness, and then next to it, the winemaker reserve, much more mineral, more serious, a bit more European in terms of style. It's a really beautiful way to convey the message of different terroirs inside the same wine area. As I said, biodynamic is the main pillar of our philosophy. It's a very complex idea, but it's a complex philosophy, basically based on the idea of regenerative agriculture. That means that we have to be conscious that everything we extract from the soil to produce our grapes, somehow we have to give it back. Conventional wineries, they do that through chemical fertilizers and nourishment and chemical products. We do that with organic practices, planting other plants, using our own compost we create, using our biodynamic preparation. So the idea is creating a balanced environment for our grapes. Balance is probably the key when we talk about biodynamic. It's a change of attitude towards agriculture, where with conventional or industrial organic production, producers, they try to impose their needs and their willing on nature. With biodynamic, we try to live and work in balance with the environment, in balance with nature. It's not an imposition anymore, it's a cooperation. This is probably the simplest way to explain biodynamic to me. Then there are 4 pillars of biodynamic. That means there are biodiversity. In a biodynamic vineyard, we don't only have grapes growing, we have different plants inside the vineyard that create biodiversity, they create fertility, and they create a much healthier environment. We do have the biodynamic preparation, which we can see an example in the next slide. The horns preparation on the left, on the right upper side we have our compost, biodynamic compost. These are all preparation that we need to do in order to be biodynamic certified, and then help us to impulse life and fertility inside our vineyard. The third pillar of biodynamic is trying to observe and understand interaction in between our plants, the human beings and workers being that are in the vineyard, the stars, the cosmos, following the idea we are all one, and we do have to find a balance to live together in the better way possible. Another very important thing of biodynamic is in order to be biodynamic certified, we can't use any ingredient, any supply, any inputs coming from outside the vineyard. So everything we use, the compost, the fertilizer, the natural fertilizers, everything we use for our wines grows in the vineyard. And that's probably the best definition possible of terroir, because we really express the potential, the characteristic of a single place, a single origin of the wine. That it's doesn't mean necessarily that we do the best wine ever. That means we produce a unique wine that only us we can produce that wine. So biodynamic is also a way to pose ourselves to the standardization and commodization of wine, where you taste wines from different parts of the world, they do taste the same because they are heavily manipulated with different ingredients and over-oaked maybe. This is something we don't like, and we try to do something different through biodynamic practices. Something that always shocks me every time I repeat it is that in Argentina we are allowed to add up to 1,000 chemical ingredients to our wines. Not all together, not all of them together, but 1,000 ingredients that can help us, can help wineries modifying the color, the flavor profile of the wine, adding acidity, taking off acidity, giving more tannins or whatever. For European wineries, they are allowed to add up to 800 ingredients. That doesn't have nothing to do with wine. In our vision, our idea, which is also a choice of coherence, being organic and biodynamic. We also want to be a very respectful producer and not to intervene, not to manipulate our wines. So all our wines, they ferment with native yeast. It's a spontaneous fermentation. We have natural acidity, very, very little intervention, low filtration only if necessary. And then there is sulfites. Sulfites, they are a preservative for wine. They are important. The fermentation naturally produces some sulfites as a natural preservative of wine. But when we add them, we kind of freeze our wine. We keep it stable, we keep it clean, but we notice that adding them, we are losing something. So in the past few years, we are studying more and more how to limit to the minimum the addition of sulfites. Of course, we want the wine to be clean and stable. And so when we need, we add a little bit of sulfites, but only if needed. That means our total sulfite presence in wine is really, really low. Always for reds, always below 40 parts per million. Imagine that this fermentation naturally creates 15 to 20 parts per million, and organic certification allows producer to add up to 100 parts per million. For a conventional producer, it's even higher. We add only up to 40 parts per million, only if necessary. So also this is quite important for us.